The basketball world has been completely shaken by what is being whispered as an absolute bombshell. A move so unexpected that even seasoned insiders are still trying to process the implications. Because the idea of Anthony Davis being announced as a new Warriors player feels almost surreal when you stop to think about the balance of power in the league. This is not being treated as a cold, confirmed transaction here, but rather as a rumor that gains strength behind the scenes, a speculative storm fueled by conversations, body language, and strategic silence. The Warriors, long known for their culture of innovation and quiet aggression in roster construction, suddenly appear at the center of a narrative that could redefine their immediate future. Anthony Davis represents more than a superstar name. He symbolizes defensive dominance, positional versatility, and a championship-level mindset that aligns perfectly with what the franchise has always valued. What people around the league are murmuring is that this decision was not rushed, not emotional, and not impulsive. Instead, it was the result of countless internal debates, philosophical alignment, and a deep evaluation of what this team truly needs to extend its relevance. The shock comes not only from the name involved, but from the idea that the Warriors managed to position themselves as the destination that ultimately tipped the scale, quietly winning a battle that many did not even realize was being fought. From the perspective of Anthony Davis, the rumor gains even more depth and intrigue because it suggests a player who may have reached a turning point in how he views his own legacy. Sources close to the situation whisper that this move was less about escaping pressure and more about embracing a system that could maximize his strengths while protecting his longevity. The Warriors are known for spacing, ball movement, and defensive intelligence, all elements that could allow Davis to thrive without carrying an unsustainable physical burden. In speculative circles, it is said that Davis was drawn to the idea of not having to be everything at once every single night, but instead becoming the ultimate multiplier within a well-oiled machine. The Warriors' identity, built on trust and shared responsibility, may have felt like the ideal environment for a player who has often been forced into survival mode. This rumor frames Davis not as someone running away from challenges, but as someone carefully choosing the battlefield where his impact can be most devastating. The idea that he could anchor a defense while benefiting from elite offensive gravity around him is the kind of scenario that keeps rival executives awake, even if they publicly pretend to dismiss it. What truly fuels the fire of this speculation is the notion that the Warriors saw something deeper than just talent when evaluating Anthony Davis as a target. According to the whispers, the front office believed that his basketball intelligence, adaptability, and willingness to sacrifice personal numbers for team success made him a uniquely perfect fit. This is not just about adding a star, but about integrating a personality that aligns with a championship-driven culture. People inside league circles suggest that the Warriors viewed Davis as a stabilizing force, someone capable of elevating the group during moments of chaos. The franchise has always valued players who can read the game 2 steps ahead, and Davis's defensive instincts alone reportedly made him irresistible. The speculation goes further, suggesting that the Warriors believe Davis could extend the competitive window of the team in a way few others could. This is not about a flashy move for headlines, but about a calculated shift in identity, one that leans even harder into defensive excellence without sacrificing offensive creativity. Even as a rumor, the logic behind it feels disturbingly coherent. Another layer that makes this rumor feel so explosive is the idea that the Warriors may have identified Anthony Davis as the ultimate bridge between eras. While much of the league focuses on either rebuilding or going all in on youth, the Warriors have historically chosen a different path, blending experience with adaptability. Davis, in this speculative scenario, represents the perfect intersection of prime ability and veteran awareness. Insiders whisper that the organization believes he could serve as a cornerstone who keeps them competitive while younger pieces develop organically. This kind of thinking fits the Warriors' long-term philosophy, where continuity and system mastery often matter more than raw athleticism alone. The rumors suggest that Davis was pitched not just a role, but a vision, one where his presence would redefine the team's defensive ceiling and unlock new offensive possibilities. The idea of him operating within their spacing concepts, setting screens, protecting the rim, and reading passing lanes feels almost unfair. Even as speculation, it paints a picture of a franchise that never truly stopped thinking several moves ahead. There is also speculation that the final factor in this rumored decision had less to do with money or market size and more to do with trust. The Warriors are known for stability, clear communication, and a rare sense of organizational alignment from ownership to coaching staff. According to the Whispers, Anthony Davis valued the idea of knowing exactly what was expected of him and how he would be supported. This rumor suggests that he saw the Warriors as a place where his body would be managed intelligently, his voice would be heard, and his role would be clearly defined. In a league where uncertainty can quietly erode confidence, that sense of structure can be incredibly appealing. The idea that this environment weighed heavily on the decision adds a human dimension to the story, reminding everyone that stars are not just assets, but people seeking the right fit. The Warriors' reputation for professionalism may have quietly become their strongest recruiting tool, even in situations no one publicly anticipated. As the rumor continues to spread, the league reaction is said to be a mix of disbelief and reluctant admiration. Executives, players, and analysts are reportedly trying to understand how this could even be possible, while simultaneously acknowledging how dangerous it would be if true. The Warriors have always thrived in moments when people underestimate their ability to adapt and reinvent. This speculative move fits that pattern almost too perfectly. The idea of Anthony Davis wearing Warriors colors feels like the kind of plot twist that only makes sense in hindsight after the shock fades and the logic becomes undeniable. Even without official confirmation, the conversation alone has already shifted narratives across the league. Teams are said to be reevaluating matchups, strategies, and long-term plans, all because of a rumor that refuses to die. Whether or not it ultimately becomes reality, the impact of this speculation is already being felt, which might be the most Warriors-like outcome of all. As the rumor continues to gain traction, the focus increasingly shifts toward the specific factor that supposedly tipped the balance in the final decision. And this is where the story becomes even more fascinating. According to the speculation circulating around the league, the decisive element was not a single promise or incentive, but a broader vision of how Anthony Davis would be used and protected within the Warriors system. The idea being whispered is that the Warriors presented a plan that emphasized efficiency over excess, quality over volume, and sustainability over short-term spectacle. This approach may have resonated deeply with Davis, who has spent much of his career carrying immense physical responsibility. The rumors suggest that he was drawn to the possibility of dominating without being overextended, of controlling games through positioning, timing, and intelligence rather than sheer force alone. This is the kind of pitch that appeals to a player thinking beyond the present moment. The Warriors allegedly framed the move not as a gamble, but as a partnership built on mutual understanding, which could have been a final nudge that made everything click. Another layer of this speculation points toward the Warriors' defensive philosophy as a major influence. Anthony Davis has always been at his best when he can read plays, rotate instinctively, and act as the last line of resistance without constantly being dragged into chaotic situations. The rumor claims that the Warriors convinced him their system would allow exactly that. Their emphasis on communication, switching, and collective awareness could theoretically free Davis to be even more impactful with less strain. People close to the situation whisper that Davis was intrigued by the idea of becoming the defensive brain of the team, rather than just its most physically imposing presence. This role would elevate his influence while preserving his energy, something that cannot be overstated at this stage of a career. Even as pure speculation, the thought of Davis orchestrating a defense filled with smart, disciplined players feels like a nightmare scenario for opposing offenses, which is precisely why this rumor has sparked so much unease across the league. The offensive side of the equation also plays a significant role in the narrative surrounding this rumored move. The Warriors' spacing, ball movement, and unselfish principles are often described as a dream environment for big men who understand timing and angles. According to the Whispers, Davis was particularly intrigued by how the Warriors envisioned him as both a finisher and a facilitator. Rather than being locked into predictable post touches, he would be empowered to read defenses, make quick decisions, and exploit mismatches created by constant motion. This kind of freedom reportedly appealed to his basketball instincts. The speculation suggests that the Warriors see Davis not just as a scorer, but as a hub who can elevate everyone around him. This aligns with their long-standing belief that the best basketball is played when the ball never sticks. Even in rumor form, the potential synergy is obvious, and it adds another layer of credibility to why this move, as shocking as it sounds, might actually make perfect sense. There's also talk that leadership and legacy played a subtle but powerful role in this rumored decision. Anthony Davis has achieved a great deal, yet the conversation around his career has often been shaped by external narratives rather than his own voice. The Warriors, according to speculation, offered him a chance to redefine how he is perceived, not as a sidekick or a stat-driven star, but as a foundational piece of a sophisticated basketball ecosystem. This opportunity to reshape his story, to be remembered as a transformative force within one of the league's most respected organizations, may have weighed heavily on his mind. The rumor paints a picture of Davis seeking meaning as much as success, impact as much as accolades. In that context, the Warriors' pitch becomes less about basketball transactions and more about personal fulfillment, which is often the hidden driver behind the biggest decisions. As this speculative narrative unfolds, the ripple effects across the league are impossible to ignore. Teams are said to be quietly reassessing their own plans, not because the move is confirmed, but because the mere possibility forces a reevaluation of competitive hierarchies. The Warriors have a history of altering the league's trajectory with moves that initially seemed improbable. This rumor fits that pattern so well that it almost feels inevitable to some observers. The idea that they could integrate a player like Anthony Davis without compromising their identity is what makes the speculation so compelling. It suggests a franchise that understands itself at a fundamental level and knows exactly when to strike. Even those who doubt the rumor admit that it feels disturbingly plausible, which is perhaps the most telling detail of all. In the end, whether this bombshell rumor ultimately proves true or not, the story itself reveals something important about how the Warriors and Anthony Davis are perceived. It highlights a mutual respect for intelligence, structure, and long-term vision that transcends simple transactions. The fact that so many around the league are willing to believe this scenario speaks volumes about the credibility of both sides. For now, the rumor lives in that fascinating space between imagination and possibility, where speculation feels almost as powerful as reality. And if there is one thing the Warriors have taught the basketball world time and time again, it is that the most unbelievable stories are often the ones that end up reshaping everything we thought we knew. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. The rumor refuses to cool down, and with every passing hour it seems to gain new layers, new interpretations, and new emotional reactions from across the basketball universe. What keeps fueling this speculation is the belief that this potential move was never meant to be loud or theatrical, but rather subtle and strategic, perfectly aligned with how the Warriors operate when they sense a rare opportunity. People close to league circles whisper that the organization has always believed in striking when the moment feels right, not when the spotlight demands it. In this speculative scenario, Anthony Davis becomes the embodiment of that philosophy, a player whose impact speaks louder than any press conference ever could. The idea that such a monumental shift could happen quietly only adds to the mystique. Fans are imagining how his presence could change the emotional rhythm of games, how his calm dominance could stabilize moments of tension, and how his defensive authority could impose a psychological tax on opponents long before the opening tip. Even as a rumor, The narrative has already embedded itself into conversations, debates, and late-night discussions, proving that some ideas are powerful enough to alter perception without ever being officially confirmed. Another fascinating angle within this speculation is how this rumored move could redefine the Warriors' identity without betraying it. For years, the franchise has been associated with elegance, fluidity, and an almost artistic approach to offense. Yet insiders suggest they have quietly craved a new form of control, one rooted in defensive certainty and interior presence. Anthony Davis, in this imagined reality, represents that missing dimension. The rumor suggests that the Warriors do not see him as a departure from their style, but as an evolution of it. His ability to erase mistakes, close gaps, and intimidate without fouling could give perimeter defenders even more freedom to be aggressive. This would not just be a tactical shift, but a philosophical one, allowing the Warriors to win games in more ways than ever before. Speculation paints a picture of a team that could dominate through finesse one night and suffocate through defense the next. That kind of versatility is what championship organizations dream about, which is why this rumor feels less like fantasy and more like a glimpse into a carefully imagined future. Ultimately, what makes this rumor so captivating is not just the possibility of Anthony Davis wearing a Warriors jersey, but what that possibility represents about power, timing, and belief. It suggests a league where the smartest organizations are always thinking several steps ahead, where stars are choosing context over comfort, and where legacy is built through alignment rather than noise. Even skeptics admit that the logic behind this speculation is dangerously convincing. The Warriors have always thrived in moments of doubt, and Anthony Davis has always thrived when given clarity and trust. The intersection of those two truths is what keeps this story alive. As long as there are unanswered questions, this rumor will continue to breathe, evolve, and dominate conversations. And in a league driven as much by imagination as by reality, sometimes the most influential stories are the ones that exist just beyond confirmation, shaping expectations and fears long before anything becomes official. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.